Right here we've got an array of specialized kitchen knives, and I'm going to take you through the list of what we got here and what they're for. So starting from here, we've got a Yanagiba Japanese fish filleting knives. So this is very specialized. This is really for preparing sashimi, for slicing fish off the bone really nicely. So really not an essential knife, but very cool looking and has its purpose. This is a Western serrated knife. It's actually called a pastry knife because it's got a round edge and it's for cutting large slabs and cakes, but it's a very versatile all-purpose knife. It has a flat edge on this side and then the serrated on this side, which means it cuts through really nicely through bread, bones. It's a great all-purpose knife. This one's made by Victorinox, and I highly recommend that. This is a westernized chef's knife. So Western handle. It's made by Wüsthof, which is a big German brand. Yes, it's a very large blade. You can get smaller ones, sort of 20 centimeter, and that's very easy to handle. And really, you can use this for anything. So, highly recommend that one also. This is a Asian cleaver. The Japanese use them. The Chinese use them for everything, for chopping vegetables, onions, cutting meat up. It's a great knife, feels really good in the hand. It takes a little bit of getting used to. It's quite useful, but again, it's quite specialized and not essential. This is called a deba. This is a very heavy, thick blade, a Japanese butchering knife, specifically for fish. So this is to take the fillets off the bone in one fell swoop. It's a really sort of sharp, thin edge with a lot of weight to it. Very specialized, again, not essential by any means. This is a Japanese Santoku knife. Now, this is the equivalent of a Western chef's knife. This is what the Japanese use for pretty much everything. Cutting meat, chopping vegetables, chopping herbs. It's got a great weight to it, great size to it. It's got this very distinctive point on it, so good for sort of getting into little nooks and crannies. So I highly recommend this. If you're going to get a Japanese knife, get a Santoku. It's really an amazing knife. Now here we have the Nakiri, and this is specifically for chopping vegetables, herbs. So you see it's very similar to the Asian cleaver. So the Chinese will use this bigger one, the Japanese will use a slightly smaller one, specifically for chopping herbs, quite light, but very, very, very sharp edge. It's very easy to maintain. I love this knife, but again, it's specialized, not essential. This is a Western filleting knife. So this is for butchering meat specifically. Can be used for fish because it's very flexible. See, the blade is very flexible, so you can really get the fillets off quite nicely. Usually filleting knives are a little bit wider for fish, so this is more of a boning knife, as we call it. Very specialized, not essential. This is a Japanese Honeysucking knife. So this is specifically for poultry prepping. It's got a very distinctive shape and weight to it, and it's really for cutting through knuckles and bones on a chicken. It's got a great weight to it, and again, a sharp point to really get into nooks and crannies. Very specialized and not essential. And then on to the smaller knives. So this is a serrated paring knife, you can call it. It's used for cutting through tomatoes, sawing through little vegetables. Really, really handy knife, great for citrus fruit as well. So, it doesn't have a sharp edge, so it's not particularly dangerous. Super sharp though. Don't have to maintain it. Very versatile, useful knife to have. Again, made by Victorinox, so not too expensive, but great knife to have. This is a Japanese petty, but it's also very similar to the Western paring knife. So small blade, sharp point. Really good for chopping little things, not large quantities and not super fast, but a versatile small knife to have. So I highly recommend having that in stock. So, taking away the specialized ones, we're left with just 5 knives that I highly recommend you having. A Western serrated knife, particularly the pastry knife as it's called. It's quite long, got a great edge on it that keeps for ages, you don't have to sharpen it much. A chef's knife, find the size that you find comfortable. Yes, 20 centimeters, 24 centimeters, or you go the full 28 centimeters for an extra large one. But very, very good knife to have. Feel it, make sure you, before you buy it, you hold it so you sort of feel the weight to it and whether you like it. If you want to splash out and get a really cool knife, yes, get a Japanese Santoku. This is a hand made one. You'll see the maker's mark there, and the steel is really specialized, really hard, beautiful rosewood handle. So I love this knife, one of my favorite knives ever. And then the 2 smaller ones, serrated and a paring knife. Get a really good quality paring knife that's quick and easy to sharpen and maintain.